Hey, come see us on tour. We'll be in Dallas, Texas, Austin, Texas, Baltimore, Atlantic City, Cohoes, New York, and Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and only jimmydore.com. As creepy as Anthony Blinken is, and the way he says, please respect the process, it's just so creepy. What's even creepier to me is the people who pretend not to hear a word of what you're saying because they have the robot job of keeping everything together while the cops get you guys out of there. I mean, if there's anything lower than the person at the podium, it's the people blindly defending them just for money. Is that why those people don't stand up and say anything? Like, they know what's going on as much as you know what's going on. Why is it just you and Sam Husseini imagine if the whole, I think I said that on Twitter. Imagine if the whole room did that one by one by one. We might actually have some change in this country. But of course, they all kept their heads down and they wanted to be good boys and girls. Why is that?
I actually think, and I hadn't thought about this until recently, that the State Department press corps that's in there could have actually ended the war or contributed to the ending of the war by doing what you said. What they should have done is they should have organized and walked out and told kind of like a strike, and told the State Department that they wouldn't return until, at the least, they forced Israel to allow as many reporters as they wanted to go into the Gaza Strip to see what Israel was doing. Because that would have just forced the Western public to see the horrors day after day that we see on social media. Unfortunately, it would have also led to Israeli massacres of mainstream Western reporters, like they massacred the World Central Kitchen aid workers, which would have probably ended the war pretty quickly. It would they could have also just shown what a charade it was, but they're all just a bunch of careerists. I mean, except for there's a few exceptions. I mean, Saeed Arakat is one of the few Palestinian reporters in there, and he just said, I'm the only Palestinian in there. It's my obligation to keep asking them questions. So I get why he does it. But I was there at the press briefing the day before Tony Blinken came, and this is with the normal press secretary, Matthew Miller, who's just so condescending.
Well, he's constantly smiling.
He's smiling, insulting people who ask tough questions, cutting them off. He's just a condescending little punk. And it was so cathartic to be able to tell that to him to his face. But I had to sit through the briefing the day before, and he was like celebrating. He actually said it was great that Syria was wiped off the map. Like saying things that would have even been shocking from like a Bush administration official. He's just openly, casually saying it. And the reporters just are, with a few exceptions, just humdrum about the whole thing. And one after another, if you go back and watch the briefing, one after another, they thanked him for his work over the past few years.
Christ.
And they each thanked him for their exchanges. And he was just so happy. He had this shit-eating grin like, I really enjoyed our exchanges, and I know they've been tough, and it allows the illusion of democracy and this robust adversarial press to continue while the policy stays the same and goes unchallenged. And so, that also kind of drove me to do what I did, just the way that the press corps participates. I mean, fine, they have kids and they want to keep their, as George W. Bush said, you got to put food on your family. They wanted to keep them they want to keep their careers. They have like they have a press room in the State Department that's like a newsroom. So like you feel like you're in your own newsroom, and the New York Times and all the Reuters, they all get their own cubicle, but it's the US government and the State Department that's providing them with those resources, providing them with hardwired internet. And then they build a relationship with the State Department staff. If you watch closely, right before I interrupted Tony Blinken, he actually said, I've gotten to know a lot of you all as friends. I know that might hurt your careers, but I really appreciate your friendship. And they would go to dinner at his house, or, Jose Andres, the restaurateur, who's basically like the de facto Biden White House culinary influencer who got all his staff killed in Gaza and still accepted a Medal of Freedom from Biden. Just such a just such a dastardly move. You know, he has all these restaurants in Washington. He like controls the restaurant industry, fine dining in Washington. And Blinken would go and like bring reporters to those great restaurants, and they'd all get treated really well. And they think Blinken's cool. These are like nerds, you know, and they get to hang out with the Secretary of State, and he plays guitar and speaks French and gallivants around the globe. And that's the culture of the State Department press. They could have actually saved lives, but they chose to dine out with the Secretary of State and chose to advance their own careers.
Hey, come see us on tour. We'll be in Dallas, Texas, Austin, Texas, Baltimore, Atlantic City, Cohoes, New York, and Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets and only jimmydore.com.